Albert Einstein didn't speak full sentences until he was 4 years old. His parents grew anxious, wondering if something was wrong. Relatives whispered reassurances, but in the quiet of their home, worry lingered like a shadow. Is he ill? Is he different? School brought no comfort. Teachers labeled him distracted, unfocused, even dull. They called him lazy, odd, different. Yet behind that silence, Albert's mind was already alive, buzzing with questions no one else dared to ask. While other children played, he observed. Sunlight filtering through leaves, shadows stretching across the floor, the gentle ripple of water in the stream, all of it fascinated him. Everything seemed to move according to hidden rules. And then came the compass, a small, unassuming gift from his father. Most children saw a toy. Albert saw a mystery. The needle quivered, guided by an invisible force. No hand touched it, no wind stirred it. And yet, it obeyed a law he could not yet name. Hours passed as he stared at that needle, imagining invisible threads connecting the world. That small compass became the spark that would ignite a lifetime of curiosity. The universe had secrets, and Albert was determined to uncover them. Yet the world was not kind to a boy like him. Schools demanded obedience, memorization, repetition. Albert resisted. He asked questions. He questioned authority. One frustrated teacher exclaimed, "You will never amount to anything." To most children, such words would crush hope. To Albert, they were fuel. The world did not yet understand him, but that was irrelevant. His mind was already exploring realms others could not see. At home, meals were quiet, playmates few. Albert preferred the company of ideas to the company of people. He spent hours observing, imagining, wondering. Each moment of silence was a seed for genius. The compass was more than a toy, it was a doorway. Albert held it in his hands, eyes wide, heart racing with questions he could not yet speak aloud. Why does it move? What force guides it? Could everything in the world be connected in ways unseen? Days turned into weeks. He carried the compass everywhere. He observed shadows, streams, stones, sunlight, imagining currents and forces invisible to others. School became a place of tension. Teachers demanded repetition. Albert offered questions. Teachers scolded him. One shouted, "Sit still, do as I say." The compass had awakened him, but it was curiosity, patience, and imagination that would shape him into the mind capable of reshaping reality itself. From the very first day, Albert Einstein noticed he was different. While other children memorized lessons and obeyed instructions, his mind wandered. Not from laziness, but from curiosity. The world was too fascinating to simply recite facts. He wanted to understand it, to uncover the mysteries beneath the surface. Teachers, however, were not patient. They prized obedience and repetition, and Albert's constant questions frustrated them. One day, during math class, his teacher scowled. "Einstein, stop staring out the window and pay attention!" "But sir," Albert replied, eyes bright with thought, "if a train moves at speed while the platform moves relative to it, how does the motion appear to someone on the train?" The teacher's face darkened. "Enough. Sit still and do the exercises. Do not question what you do not understand." At home, his parents noticed his peculiar ways. His mother worried. His father recognized a rare spark. "He thinks differently," his father said quietly. "That is dangerous and brilliant." Even as teachers ridiculed him, Albert thrived in solitude. He sketched, imagined experiments, and contemplated light, motion, and time. While others played games, he conducted mental experiments. What would happen if he rode alongside a beam of light? What if time itself could stretch? By age 12, Albert's frustration with school had deepened. Conformity felt suffocating, memorization meaningless. So he turned inward, immersing himself in thought, observation, and quiet experiments. dropping objects into water, sketching shadows, imagining invisible forces shaping the world. At 15, he faced the entrance exam for the Zurich Polytechnic. He studied relentlessly, yet failed. Humiliation stung, and family disappointment weighed heavily. But in his room, Albert made a choice. Failure was not the end. It was a redirection. He would try again, study harder, and pursue the truths his mind craved. When he reattempted the exam, he passed. Not merely a victory over a test, but a triumph of intellect, imagination, and unyielding curiosity. Imagine being a young man who had already failed once, feeling the weight of expectation pressing on your shoulders, only to be told again that the world does not understand you. For many, that would be crushing. For Albert, it was another puzzle, another problem to solve. Even in Zurich, Albert encountered ridicule. Students mocked his quiet demeanor, his intense focus, his habit of losing himself in thought during lectures. Teachers frowned at his reluctance to conform. "Einstein," one remarked, exasperated, "you think too much. Focus on what we teach, not what you imagine." But Albert could not stop imagining. In the quiet hours of his room, he traced the paths of planets in the night sky, visualized light beams racing through space, and pondered the nature of time itself. Every failure, every dismissal, every glance of disapproval became fuel for thought. And yet doubt lingered. He wondered, am I really capable? Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm too strange, too slow, too different. But within that doubt, something remarkable persisted. Curiosity, unshakable and pure. It became a compass, guiding him through disappointment. Every failure became an experiment, every rejection a clue. He learned to trust his own mind, even when the world did not. During this period, Albert also wrestled with isolation. Friends were few. Most of his energy went into study and imagination. But this solitude was not empty. It was fertile ground for the seeds of genius. He read, wrote, and thought constantly, absorbing knowledge that would form the foundation for revolutionary ideas. One evening, sitting by a candle-lit desk, he scribbled equations into a notebook, tracing the invisible threads connecting motion, energy, and light. The world outside his window continued, unaware of the young man who quietly envisioned a universe far stranger and more beautiful than anyone could imagine. Failure had a strange companion in Albert: resilience. He learned to stand alone, to trust himself, and to persevere, even when every voice around him said he would fail. And in that perseverance, the spark of his future brilliance burned ever brighter. By the end of his teenage years, Albert had endured humiliation, rejection, and doubt. But he had also cultivated the very qualities that would define him: curiosity, imagination, and the courage to question everything. The boy who once barely spoke had grown into a young man whose mind could see farther than any teacher, any institution, any peer. After years of struggle, rejection, and doubt, Albert Einstein finally found work. Not in a grand laboratory, not in a prestigious university, but in a modest office in Bern, Switzerland, the Swiss Patent Office. He began to see patterns where others saw only paper and ink. Trains moving along tracks sparked questions about motion, speed, and time. Electrical circuits reminded him of energy and the invisible forces guiding the world. Each patent became a small window into the laws of reality, laws that he was determined to understand at a deeper level. Albert would sit at his desk, pencil in hand, sketching diagrams that no one would ever see. He calculated, imagined, and visualized. He played with ideas about light, imagining what it would be like to travel alongside a beam, racing at the speed of the sun itself. He wondered, does time move differently at that speed? Does space itself stretch? Colleagues noticed Albert's peculiar habits. He often stared into space for minutes at a time, lost in thought. He doodled on scraps of paper, muttering to himself. Some thought him odd, Some simply avoided him. But Albert didn't mind. He had learned long ago that the opinions of others mattered little compared to the truths waiting to be discovered. Evenings at home were dedicated to study. Physics books, mathematical treatises, and philosophical texts spread across the table. He devoured knowledge, connecting dots others had never imagined. Each concept, each formula, each question built upon the last. Slowly, a picture began to form, a vision of the universe that challenged everything known. It was here, amid the ordinary hum of the office, that Albert began to formulate the ideas that would change the world. The world outside continued unaware. People went about their lives, never suspecting that in a small office in Bern, a young man was quietly bending the boundaries of reality itself. Albert's work at the patent office also taught him discipline. The structured environment forced him to organize his thoughts, to approach problems methodically, and to test his ideas rigorously. What seemed like a simple office job was, in fact, the perfect training ground for the miracle that lay ahead. Even when faced with tedious paperwork, Albert found inspiration. A diagram of a simple mechanical device could spark hours of thought about motion, forces, and the nature of space and time. He realized that the universe itself was like a grand machine, governed by laws that could be discovered and understood, not blindly, but through curiosity, logic, and imagination. The lesson was clear. Greatness often grows quietly, in unnoticed places. It is forged in solitude, perseverance, and a refusal to surrender to the ordinary judgments of the world. The boy who had once been called lazy and strange now used every rejection, every obstacle, and every quiet hour as fuel. And in that quiet office, surrounded by stacks of papers, gears, and inventions, Albert Einstein's mind began to stretch time, bend space, and prepare to rewrite the universe itself. In 1905, Albert Einstein's life reached a turning point. It was a year that would later be called his annus mirabilis, his miracle year. The boy who once failed, the student rejected, the patent clerk overlooked, this same man now stood at the brink of reshaping the universe. 4 groundbreaking papers emerged from his quiet desk at the Swiss Patent Office, each one unraveling mysteries that had confounded scientists for decades. The first paper explored the photoelectric effect, showing that light itself could behave as both particle and wave. It challenged centuries of understanding and earned him a future Nobel Prize. The second paper addressed Brownian motion, explaining the erratic movement of particles in fluids. To the world, it was a complex mathematical observation. To Einstein, it revealed the hidden order within apparent chaos. The third paper dealt with special relativity, a concept so radical it would take the world decades to fully comprehend. Time, he argued, was not fixed. Space was not rigid. The universe itself was flexible, fluid, and intertwined with energy and motion. Finally, his fourth paper established the famous equation E, mc2, linking mass and energy in a simple yet profound truth. Matter and energy are interchangeable, revealing the immense potential contained within the smallest particles. By the end of 1905, the world would begin to notice. Invitations from universities followed. Recognition from peers arrived. But Einstein's journey was far from over. His mind had opened doors not only to the universe, but to the challenges and responsibilities that accompany profound discovery. Einstein also faced personal struggles, family tensions, self-doubt, and moments of isolation. Yet through it all, his curiosity remained unbroken. Every challenge became an opportunity to reflect, grow, and continue his pursuit of truth. If Albert Einstein can turn rejection, doubt, and failure into the force that reshaped the universe, imagine what you could achieve when you refuse to give up on your own dreams. So, if you're ready to think differently, embrace your curiosity, and turn challenges into breakthroughs, subscribe now. Join us and be part of a community that refuses to settle for ordinary. Your journey to greatness starts here. Hit that subscribe button and take the first step today.